always, welcome to the A Plus Setups Telegram. I'm going to be using this private channel to share the best setups that I see every week. I do scanning about 3 to 5 hours per week, and I have a batch of coins that I'm always trying to scan for scalp setups or intraday setups, but I always go outside of that to see if there's any larger swing plays that I can jump in on. For the first setup this week, we're going to look at FET or Fetch AI. Obviously, this had a parabolic run in the previous cycle, and even the first half of this one did really well. There was a massive accumulation down here before the parabolic run. So we're going to start on the monthly. You have a monthly internal that got filled here. So once that backfill is finished, usually you're going to be targeting the external high on the monthly. If we jump into the weekly, it's also pointing up in the sense that this was the deepest discount weekly imbalance that got rebalanced here, and we've now shifted structure on the weekly, so your weekly target is going to be up here as well. We'll drop it into the daily time frame now. So on the daily time frame, you could see a bit of structure shifting in the range. You had a raid here, a shift above that. Even locally, you created a new range, intraday, raid, shift, and now you have from this swing point low to that swing high, this is your dealing range. So within the dealing range, you have an order block here that it just barely tapped into with this low. So I believe this low is going to be inducement. And then you have the order block stops below that low. So generally, the way I view order blocks within a trend is when they enter first, it becomes a scalp. So I'm using this low, the stops or the liquidity of this low, as a potential long scalp as long as the main order block holds in the range. So I'm not using that for the larger move, because typically what happens when price does draw into here and gets a scalp move up, it just engineers more liquidity around this low, and then these get rinsed into the larger move, and that's usually going to be where you want to get in on the long. So scalp below this low, a little bit higher, and then the main move I'm looking to enter in is going to be inside this daily imbalance. So within this dealing range that's defined by this low being taken out, so that's your swing low, and this high being taken out here, that's going to be your swing high. So if you fib it out, this is going to be the part in discount. In discount, the only daily imbalance is right here after taking the daily high. So naturally, the market is probably going to draw into that daily imbalance. So what I'm looking to go long on is wherever the volume and support should be in the range, that should be a good area to long. So if you just look at these relatively equal highs, that's going to define the top of the range. And there's a high volume node resting inside of this breaker. So that was the last up candle that rebalanced this daily imbalance right here before nuking the highs into the weekly target, the weekly internal. So this breaker should behave as support. It's supported by volume. Your point of control within a very well defined range is going to be inside of that as well. And there's a daily imbalance here. So all I want to see, if we do what I think we're going to do, is maybe take those inducement stops, scalp long, engineer, and then drop into that range. What I'm thinking is only a wick into that daily imbalance. So I want to see that get absorbed very fast and then a push out of the range very quickly. So this is going to be the deep discount zone that I want to target for the long. And then what I'm actually trading is not so much this range, but the larger structure. Again, we rebalanced majority of the weekly imbalance, so our weekly target is up here. So within that range, I want to identify structure that I can be trading. And this one happens to have very clean structure. So this is the sell side of the curve. This is the buy side of the curve. We're clearly in the buy side. And actually I mapped this out last week. It seems to be tracking really well. But the idea here is there's liquidity up here. There's some liquidity here now between that high and that high. And using this market maker model, I'm just trying to get in within this first distribution zone or accumulation zone actually. So somewhere in here, I'm looking to get into in discount within this range. And then the idea would be to trade it into the 348 original consolidation. So that's the main model that I'm trading. This all kicked off with a really nice harmonic. So this is called a bat structure, where basically, even though this one wick extended a little past the 618, again, that was just probably a stop hunt on the lower time frame. But the idea is you had a 618 retrace, a lower high around the 618, and then a push down into the 886 right here. Again, I drew this well in advance. It just took a little longer to get there. And then your projection B to C is the 1618. So this was your reversal zone. And usually when you come out of a bat structure like this, you're targeting the 382. So if you see here, I have my 382 and 618 plotted. So your type 1 return would go into the 382. It just got front run. And your type 2 target is going to be up here at the 618. So those are going to be the harmonic targets. Usually for the type 2, you want to see a pullback into the reversal zone or at least a higher low. So I'm projecting somewhere in that daily imbalance. And aside from the harmonic, these are going to be the targets that I'm trading. So if you use standard deviations, I'm not sure who uses them, but you're looking at the last manipulation within the daily structure over here. From that swing high anchored to that low, you're usually targeting the -2 to 2.5 standard deviation, which lines up with that original consolidation. So this is going to be a major daily profit taking zone. The the -4 lines up here with a trend based fib projection, which is basically from the cycle low before the parabolic move. So basically the origin point before this parabolic move went to the cycle high to the nadir of the pullback, which is the lowest point in the pullback. And what I use is the 1272 to 1414 projection for trend-based fib target. That lines up with the -4. So that's going to be the main target on this, expansion up. That's where you're probably going to get a cycle high and then a deeper retrace. But that's pretty much the target that I'm going to be trading. In between, obviously, there's going to be levels to take profit, like these highs right here, this cluster right here, and then into that supply, there's probably going to be a lot of sell pressure as well going into those standard deviations. So that's the first setup I'm looking at. I think FET is going to do really well. It has obviously a cult that will keep bidding as long as things look bullish. They're going to keep bidding. So any pullback, I'm trying to long for a swing trade. All right, guys, enjoy the channel. I'll make sure to keep updating as I see new A+ setups. Cheers, guys.